So I am making this video in regards to at least spark some general questions about some previous shootings. The one being the Sutherland Springs shooting that was conducted by Devin Patrick Kelly. And here's some really weird things that I can see about this. How did he manage to purchase a firearm? Because he had to go into a gun shop, he had to fill out the ATF form 4473 and lie on it, which is illegal unto itself, which is falsifying official paperwork, but that's beside the point. Here are the few interesting things I've gathered about this young fellow. He has a domestic violence charge from the Air Force. He was actually charged and sentenced and was sent to confinement for it, meaning he was sent to a military prison. He made death threats to his commanding officer and was found with tools to commit death threats to his commanding officer, so that's conspiracy charges. And he was also given a bad conduct discharge from the United States Air Force after his court-martial. And for those of you that don't know, a bad conduct discharge is the literal equivalent of a dishonorable discharge. So he has a felony from the domestic violence, a felony from the bad conduct discharge, and he also has a conspiracy to commit by the death threat that he had made toward his commanding officer. And yet the Air Force failed to disclose any of this information during his criminal background check that was being conducted by the ATF Form 4473 to the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That just is really stunning. And another shooting I would like to talk about is the Parkland shooting. So, the Parkland shooting, the Broward County Sheriff's Office received several upon several tips about Nicholas Cruz, and they were dispatched to his residence several upon several times. Even the FBI received tips, and the FBI failed to notify the Miami field office. And Cruz had openly bragged about this, so that proves conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt right there. He openly bragged about it on various social media outlets. The teachers knew about it because there were students that were informing teachers of this, and at one point he was even banned from wearing a backpack onto school because they were so concerned about him bringing weapons onto the property. And the Florida Child Protective Services were conducting an investigation on him because there have been reports of self-injury, self-harming that Cruz has been conducting on himself. So there was enough proof to prove conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt within the Parkland shooting, but yet nothing happened. The Sutherland Springs shooting. The United States Air Force could have prevented that. They could have prevented that by disclosing the fact that Airman Basic Kelly had a bad conduct discharge from the United States Air Force, had served time in a military prison for a domestic violence charge, and had also made a death threat to his commanding officer. And the Air Force failed to disclose this information to other federal agencies, which is a huge, massive failure. The Parkland shooting. The Broward County Sheriff's Office and the FBI had more than enough evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on conspiracy charges, and yet they didn't. And then to even go further on the Parkland shooting, there have been orders to stand down during the whole shooting. So you have deputies that are waiting outside, weapons at the ready, and a stand down order was given. They were more focused on securing the perimeter. There's something not right with that. Because there's too many things that aren't aligning with the Parkland shooting alone. For starters, both of these were failures of the federal government. The Sutherland Springs was a definite fail from the Department of the Air Force. The Parkland shooting was a definite failure of the Broward County Sheriff's Office, the state, because Child Protective Services was conducting an investigation on Nicholas Cruz, and on a federal level, because the Federal Bureau of Investigations failed to notify the Miami field office of Nicholas Cruz. Something's not right here. The federal government is failing we the people. They are failing on a massive scale, and these two shootings are very clear and evident of that. Please share this message and make sure that this message gets out. Thank you. Good day.